Welcome to Homestead Reptile, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a controversial subject. So, would you keep a adult crested gecko in a 6-quart tub for its entire life? So, the Cresty King on his Instagram, people screenshotted it. He is keeping adults in these types of tubs. Now, he's a controversial figure in the entire crested gecko community. A lot of people either love him or they absolutely despise him. Now, I'm coming at it as a neutral third party. So I've never bought anything from the Crested King. Um, I'm in the Crested Gecko community, but I'm not like sink or swim for anyone. If you're doing bad stuff, you're doing bad stuff, and I'll tell you you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. So the Crested King isn't a new person in the hobby. He knows how Crested Geckos should be cared for. Keeping them in this style tub is only beneficial to your pocket. So you'll be able to squeeze a lot more geckos in a smaller space. You'll be able to maximize your profit because you have more geckos. The geckos are getting zero out of being forced to live in a 6-quart tub. So that bothers me. They shouldn't be living like that. And then the hygiene. There's tons of photos of these geckos pretty much living in squalor. You can go through my YouTube channel and look how I'm keeping my geckos. My geckos don't live in squalor. My geckos live in decent sized cages where they can climb arboreally because they're an arboreal species. They're not terrestrial. They don't want to like hang out on the ground all the time. They want to climb. I don't see geckos just like, I want to sit on the ground and walk around. If I see a gecko doing that consistently, I think there might be something wrong with the gecko. They don't want to behave like that. Allowing your animal to express natural behaviors, especially with a really simple species like this that we can give them those needs, I think you should. The Cresty King has some downright really nice geckos, some really high quality, really nice stuff. His care is bullcrap. It's bad. It's like there are photos of deceased geckos. There's photos of scrawny geckos. There's photos of geckos that are super bloated looking. Photos of feces, mold, and all this nasty stuff. So he's blaming some of these photos on a disgruntled employee, that he took the photos, he fired the man or woman for bad care, and this person got upset and was just spreading the photos around. So some of these photos are old during that time, and some of these are new, like they were in a live stream that he was live streaming it to sell animals, and the animals look like that. You caught how they're being kept in these cages. So care wise, it's bad. It's what this reminds me of. Now, I live in a state where there are a lot of puppy mills. And if you've never seen a puppy mill or walked past a puppy mill, it's horrible. The noise, the smell. There's like tons of deceased dogs hanging out in the backyard that they just either toss, they don't bury them properly. It's bad. It's like filth, squalor, and nasty. His care really reminds me of that. Just profit over any care for the animals. And again, it's like you can see it. It's like how he's caring for the animals. You can see it. Are we supposed to... Someone was saying, and it's like, you should just, privately talk to these people and tell them you shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. If someone's been in the hobby for a really long time and they can't do like simple Google searches or they can't change their mind, I don't think the average, just people politely saying you should change how you're caring for them is going to do anything. I don't think it is. If this was someone new in the hobby and they didn't know any better, then I'd say sure, but this isn't. Puppy mill people know that the animals are in horrible conditions, and half the time they don't even want to show you where the adults live. So again, I don't think it's going to do anything. You can if you really want to. This is mostly to tell people, if you don't like the way they're being cared for, just don't purchase from them. Don't purchase from anyone who is caring for their geckos like that, unless you're okay with it. If you're okay with it, that's how you're okay with it. That's how you think they should be cared for. I mean, that's up to you, each individual. can pick where they're going to spend their money and support someone. That's up to you. So again, lots of photos, lots of videos. You can go to ask any breeder about him, and most breeders don't like him. So people are upset because of the animal care. People are upset that it seems like he might have scammed a few people. It's like someone purchased a gecko and they didn't get the gecko that was in the photo. People have been sent sick geckos. People have loaned geckos and they've passed away, or they became sick and they never got a replacement gecko. So a lot of that stuff is more hearsay, rumors. There is some evidence behind it, but it's like it's 50-50. Now, for that many people to dislike you throughout the entire community, because the crested gecko community is pretty big, I would say where there's smoke, there is fire. There is something going on that is rubbing people the wrong way about this person. But something we can clearly see is the animal welfare. It is poor. So he blamed that deceased gecko on a disgruntled employee. So this gecko was deceased for a significant period of time. It's like in the cage, there's that deceased gecko, not a tiny baby. It looked like it was a juvenile. In a shoebox, partially shed, the gecko, the body weight was low. It was scrawny. Eyes sunken in, skull sunken in. So it was in there for a few days. But the way the body looked, it looked thin, it looked sickly to begin with, and it passed away. So was your employee not ever feeding the gecko and then it died? Did you not train your employees well? You should be like misting those little tubs like once a day, maybe every 2 days, and checking on the geckos. So within that time period, no one found this deceased nasty gecko. And again, the geckos are living in filth. They're an arboreal species. They should be treated arboreally. They should be living in arboreal enclosures. They should be able to express some natural behaviors of climbing. So an arboreal species rarely ever comes in contact with its own poop. So kind of think of it like birds. So birds that fly, that perch, they poop, their poop goes onto the ground. They're never really coming in contact with their poop. They have sensitive lungs. When you keep a bird that in a filthy container and it's never allowed to get away from its feces, it will soon get upper respiratory problems, to get diseased and pass away. Kind of think of crested geckos a little bit like that. Very sensitive lungs. They shouldn't be forced to be hanging around their poops all day long. They should have airflow. They should be in arboreal setups. And again, they don't need massive mansion enclosures. There's a ton of breeders that use like 66 quart tubs for their geckos, and that's fine. Some people use slightly smaller ones, some people use slightly larger ones, but they should be living in a 6-quart tub, people. They shouldn't. 6-quart tubs are for newborn babies. I can give you a 6-quart tub for maybe a 10-gram, maybe a 13-gram gecko, but you're pushing it at that size. You might want to move them up soon. They shouldn't be living in shoe boxes. They shouldn't. It's wrong. There's no way else to look around it. And this was kind of funny. So I asked a few people that do not keep reptiles, or not in the reptile industry, have nothing to do with reptiles, and I showed them a picture of this adult crested gecko in a shoebox. I was like, do you think this is a proper enclosure for a gecko to live its entire life? And they said, no. Why would you keep it in that? It's like, that's mean. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. So if a person who does not keep reptiles at all, doesn't know how to care for reptiles, doesn't care about geckos, can say, why in the world are you keeping it in such a small little box? And they think that's wrong. I always find this interesting. So ask someone who doesn't have anything to do with reptiles, would you permanently keep this adult-sized gecko in this shoebox? Do you think this is a great place for it to live? I haven't heard anyone say yes, that's a great place for it to live. It's equivalent to having a dog in a crate for the rest of its life. It's not cool. Like and subscribe and tell me what you think.